Alright, Steve, let's go over starting something from new. So, obviously you'd open Bobcat, go to File, New, and make sure your defaults are set correctly. Make sure it's in a plasma, which yours probably is already, and that post is set to the Stokes welding post. So, what we're going to do is just draw something here quick. Draw a square, some circles, bolt hole pattern, and then add some tool paths to it and post the code, and you'll see how it's all done. So if I want to draw a rectangle, I can go here, go to Other, go to Rectangle, give it some sort of size. So let's say this is a 10-inch by 10-inch rectangle. If I want to just sketch it on the screen, meaning it didn't really matter what size it was, I could select the sketch and come over here and do it, but that's kind of pointless to me because we're always dealing with some sort of accurate measurement. If you want a corner radius, you can see it's this green is a preview of things. So if it's blue, that means it's active. So I don't want a chamfer, which there's the length of the chamfer, quarter and quarter in this case, and there's a radius. So let's give it a 1/2 inch corner radius. Now, right now, the justification is set to center, which I prefer, but if you wanted to change it for whatever reason, and this doesn't matter a whole lot, it's just easier in my estimation if you have features inside of features, like a bolt pattern or another square inside the square, to leave it at center. But if you didn't want to, you could go bottom left, and you'll see how it justifies to the bottom left. And all these are pretty self-explanatory, but let's go back to center. And once I select OK, it'll turn blue, and that means that thing's dropped on there. So if I wanted out of this command, I could just cancel out right now. But I can also keep going. If I wanted to draw that inner rectangle, I could come here and type, put in 4 by 4 rectangle, and put it, say, corner inch radius. So this is just making physical sizes of things. So if you wanted clearances and stuff, you'd put like 0.265, something like that in there, or 0.250. Instead of 4 inches, you'd put 4.005, or you can each one of these. Again, I'm going to leave it center justified, and I'll click OK, and it'll make that there. So easy way to make rectangles. And the center just being from the X and Y Cartesian coordinate plane as seen in Bobcat. By the way, some simple mouse features. Roller ball in the middle of your mouse will zoom in and zoom out dynamically, meaning in real time as you do it, it'll move. If I hold down the roller ball, and I move my mouse, then I'm rotating dynamically. And if I want to pan dynamically, this should work. If I held shift and then roller ball, for whatever reason it's not doing what I want it to do. There, it did slowly. Let's say it got lost. I'm just going to hit escape a few times and hit F. Hit click on the screen and hit F on the keyboard, and then it'll fit it to the screen. And then right now you see this all got grayed out. Don't worry, just click on the cam tab and we're back to where we want to be. So if you get lost in your views at some point, that's fine. Just come up here, go to View, Views, Top View, and you're golden. Alright, so if you want to draw an arc, usually I just do the coordinates arc because this is the best way of doing it. So again, where is the arc located in the X and the Y? Well, I want it to be center, as the other features are. What's the radius of the arc? Let's say I want to make the radius 5 inches. Well, let's make it different. Let's make it 3 inches. And as long as I'm just clicking somewhere else on here, then you'll see it update the green preview update of it. If you wanted to change things as far as the start and end angle, these are in polar coordinates, so that's 0, 90, 180, 270, 360. If I didn't want a complete arc for whatever reason, then I could do it that way. Usually I just use this one for complete arcs. I don't do half arcs with it because there's better ways. So once I'm done with that, click OK. It'll create the arc and I can cancel out of that, go back to the cam tree. So arcs are simple, rectangles are simple, bolt patterns. So there's another easy way to do that. To go to other, and you go to hole pattern. You've got your circular and you've got your grid pattern. So let's cover both of them quick. You know, circular patterns kind of all make sense. This is the diameter you're putting them on, and this is the justification. Right now it's justified to bottom left. I want to do it based on center. You'll see it updates here on the screen. Number of holes, let's say I wanted 6, and I wanted the hole diameter to be a ½ inch, and the radius there on to be 6 inches. So you can see there they are. Let's change that to be 8 inches. Alright, click OK, and you'll see it drops in there. One thing I didn't do that I should have done is use this break feature here, because once I cancel out of this command, you'll see as I select them, it selects them all together. That doesn't work so hot sometimes for doing the plasma portion of it. So what I'm going to do is go to Utilities and Explode, and now if I click that and then right click and OK, now those have become separate features. If I go back to selection mode, you'll see that they're separate features and they work on their own. So go back to the cam tree here. That's how you do bolt hole radius or diameter. So if I wanted to do a grid pattern, I come here and go to hole pattern and grid, and now here are the number of holes. Let's say I wanted 4. Oh, actually, let's just make it 2 and 2 based on center again, and the width, in other words the X value, and the height is the Y value. Let's make that 5, and you'll see it updates on the screen nicely. 5. As soon as I click somewhere else, maybe a little bigger, let's maybe make it 9 and 9, and this time I'll break it. So you notice the dot in the center goes away, which is okay, and I'll say okay to that. So there you go, done deal. Right now I'll go to File and save it, and let's put this as example 1, save. So now we have our geometry, all we need to do is cut it. Cancel all that, go to the cam tree, and this is the basic process for doing any part. If you just come down here to machine setup, right click and edit, that's okay. Just click OK here, and you click this. Usually it's a rectangular stock we're cutting. Really it's just for the simulator later on anyway. So just come here, and you know, if you want to put some sort of offset in the X minus, X plus, Y minus, Z, whatever, go ahead and do so, but usually the default just makes it the same size as the largest outside feature, and that's usually fine. Click OK, and we're done with that. Now if we wanted to change where our CPL marker is at, in other words where our 00 is going to get set on the machine to actually machine it, we can right click and edit this, and now we get these node selections here. So if I wanted to change my origin, I could click that, and any automatic node or feature on the part, I could click and go to that point. So if I clicked there, it would move the datum to there. I don't really want to do that though. If I did, I'd click OK and be done with it. If I didn't want it there, I just wanted where it was previous to my selection, I'd hit cancel, go back there. Notice nothing's here anymore. I gotta go back to cam. There we go. So we have stock, we've defined where our CPL is at, and all we need to do is load a feature and machine it. So I'm going to right click here, and I will load that feature. Go to that 3/8 stainless, right click and reselect my geometry. First thing I want to do is the inside, so I'll shift and select all that, and I'll right click and say OK. One more thing I need to do is right click here and compute that toolpath, make sure it's on the inside, and it is. Remember, we can reverse that if we want to change that easily. So that's done. Maybe I want to rename this to 4-inch square, just so I know what it is. And I'll show you in a minute here how we can reorder things if we need to. We created one thing before the other. So again, I'm just going to load another feature. Click, load feature, and we'll do 3/8 stainless again. And come here, reselect geometry. So if I wanted to do all of these holes, let's say, I could just click every single one of them. Once I have what I want, I can right click and say OK to those, and then compute the toolpath, and there you go. It's doing what it does. Now you'll notice our lead in is a little big for what we're doing, so that would be a problem. So I have to go back and edit that. No big deal. Just come up here, right click, edit. You can right here click on leads instead of half. Let's make it quarter, and compute that, and you should see, yep, sure enough, our lead is now not so big it's gonna cut out the side of the hole. So that was easy enough to do. I won't cut this circle here because it's all the same. So now let's do the outside one. So holes is a good description for that anyway, shouldn't change the name. Come here and load feature again, assuming we're cutting, 3/8 steel. Let's right click and call this, we'll rename this to outside. Yeah, perhaps I named it correctly. Outside. Right click on geometry and reselect. Remember, if I hit shift and left click, it will select all the chain entities. Good enough. Now I'll right click and say OK to that. And one more thing, I just need to compute that toolpath and make sure it's cutting on the right side. Well, it doesn't really look like it is. So again, just reverse the direction of it and compute. And there we go. You can kind of tell by the lead to which side it's going to cut. Okay, so that would be the program. All I need to do is post it and run it. So I'll come up here to milling job, right click, do post and save as. You're just going to navigate to wherever you want it to be saved. In my case, I created a folder on my desktop called Stokes, so that's just where I put it. And give it a name, which this will just be example 1. Don't click this .bbcd. Just give it a name, hit save, and you'll see, there you go, there is the code for your program. Now you'll have it saved on your desktop. Just come over here and on your desktop, obviously mine's full of junk, but find the Stokes one, there it is. This is just where you'd open it from in Mach 3. You just go, give an example here. I have Mach 3 on here. Mach 3 loader. Let's open Plasma. Set. So I'll go load G code. I have to navigate to my desktop where I had that saved, and I got to click drop down type and make sure it's looking for all files in this case. So example 1 was right there. Here we go. There's the good preview of what's supposed to be going on. You should be pretty familiar with this by now. You've done enough of it. You just needed to be able to create the code. So I think we're getting there. I'll give you some more of these videos as time goes on, but I think it should give you a decent place to start. So again, if you have specific questions that I can answer for you, we'll gladly do so. I think the best thing you can do is just kind of take your time and start playing around with things, and that's the way I learned, I guess. Plus there's a ton of videos on YouTube already about Bobcat, so it's not hard to learn. They're not necessarily aimed towards Plasma, but